Welcome to the Bigger Brains course, Mastering Word 365 Expert. My name is Christina Tankersley, and I'm a technical trainer and have been teaching and consulting with Microsoft products for over 25 years. Microsoft Word is a powerful tool for creating and modifying documents, and I'm excited to teach you how to use its features. This course is intended for advanced users of Word 365 who want to go deeper with many of its features. We'll start by customizing the Quick Access toolbar and the ribbon. We'll also manage document templates. Then we'll customize a table of contents, master font options, and create and manage styles. Next, we'll use advanced find techniques, add and customize watermarks, and add cover pages. We'll also create auto text and manage quick parts. Then we'll work with custom and exclude dictionaries and use the features built into AutoMath and Auto Format. We'll also customize footnotes, headers, footers, and columns. Then we'll add and link text boxes and insert and manage fields. We'll look at protecting documents and adding signatures. Then we'll merge and compare documents and compare versions of a document. In the next section, we'll apply graphic tools and drawing options. We'll also create and use forms. Lastly, we'll set up, customize, and perform a mail merge. By the end of this course, my hope is that you will have a deeper understanding of all of the features and capabilities available in Word 365 and be able to use all of its expert features. As you go through this course, I recommend that you stop the video periodically and practice what I'm showing you. The files I'm using in the course are available to download if your platform supports them, so you can do the same activities right along with us. Marin, there are several things that you can do to the Word environment in order to customize it and really make it work for you more efficiently. So let's take a look at a couple of those things.
Okay, I'm all about making it my own.
One of the things that you can do is you can move your Quick Access toolbar to below the ribbon. Notice that you have this down arrow, and all the way at the bottom, we have Show Below the Ribbon. Now, when we have this, notice that we have the words, right? And so you may want to get rid of those words. And so let's hide those command labels.
Okay, that's better. Actually, I'm so used to seeing it at the top. Can we put it back?
Absolutely. We will just choose that down arrow again, and then we can choose Show Above the Ribbon.
Christina, I know I can add commands to the Quick Access toolbar using the drop-down, but what if it's something that's not in that drop-down, like comments? I use comments a lot. How can we add those?
Sure. So if we go to Review and then New Comment and just right-click, and right at the top you have Add to the Quick Access toolbar.
Okay, that's easy.
And if you need to remove anything from the toolbar, all you have to do is right-click on the icon that you'd like to remove, and you have Remove from Quick Access toolbar.
Okay. If I have a new command on this toolbar, anytime I come into Word, it'll still be there, right?
That's right. It's sticky, so that means that it will stay on there until you take it off.
Okay.
Marin, there's another way that you can customize this toolbar, and all you have to do is right-click on the Quick Access toolbar and choose Customize. Here, we have two columns, so I can choose something on the left and then add it to the right. Another great thing that you can do is reorganize how you see things on the Quick Access toolbar. So your comment, let's say we want that first. So I can select that and move that up, or I can also click and drag it, and now that's the first thing that we'll see on the Quick Access toolbar.
Nice.
While we're here, let's also look at customizing the ribbon. In this particular area, it looks very similar, right?
Yes.
So on the left, we have every command that we have access to in Word. Right now, we're looking at the popular commands, if you can see that at the top. On the right, we have each of our tabs, the groups within the tabs. If you look at Review, you can see proofing, speech, accessibility, etc. And then within each one of those, you have each of the icons. Now in these groups, we have all of the icons. You can't take those off, but you could add icons into a group. You can also rearrange them like we did earlier with the Quick Access Toolbar by moving them around. Maren, there is a tab that we need to add that we'll use later. It's called the Developer tab. So if I scroll down, notice that it's not checked. So that means it's not currently on the ribbon. I can check it to add it, and then you can also uncheck certain tabs in order to not have them on the ribbon. We're going to leave this on, and we'll use that a little bit later.
Okay.
There's something else that we can do. We can add a new tab, your very own.
Oh, nice. My own tab?
That's right. So let's come down to the bottom and choose New Tab. And notice it's called New Tab. We don't want to call it that, do we?
That's very boring.
So let's select that and choose Rename. How about we call it something fun, like maybe Maren's Favorites?
All right, let's do it.
Once you type in your display name, you can choose OK, and it will rename it. Now, we also have a group, and we need to put icons in a group. So let's go ahead and name this as well. So let's select the new group and choose Rename. And down at the bottom, we can put a display name, or notice that you can also use some of these different symbols. Let's go ahead and use a display name and call it My Group. Great, let's choose OK. Now we have our commands over on the left, and right now it's showing us a group called Popular Commands. If you choose the down arrow, notice that there's different groupings that we can use in order to find the commands that we're looking for. Let's go to All Commands. And what is something that you would use very frequently in a document?
I use page break a lot.
All right. So if I click in this list and I choose P for page break, I can scroll down and I can look, but do you see page break here?
No, I don't.
So this is a tricky one. You actually have to go to I for Insert and then scroll down. And here we have Insert Page Break.
Okay, so it's the full command name.
That's right. So let's get Insert Page Break. Verify that my group is selected, which it is because it has the white box around it. And then let's choose Add.
And there it goes.
Let's add a couple of other icons to my group. Let's do Clear Formatting. I use that one a lot. And then let's add Go to Next Page.
Oh, that's a good one to add because there's no icon anymore to actually take you to the next page.
That's right. So let's go ahead and put that. Now let's go take a look at our handiwork. Come down to the bottom and choose OK.
Oh, look, we have Developer tab and Maren's Favorites. Can we actually move that tab, Maren's Favorites, more towards home so I can see it better?
Absolutely. That's really a good idea because these are icons that you will use frequently, so you want them probably closer to home. Let's come up here and go back to Customize the Ribbon. There's a couple of different ways you can move this. You can either click on Maren's Favorites and move it up one at a time, or the easiest way is to just click and drag it, and let's put it above home. And you can come to Maren's Favorites and uncheck it if you just don't want to see it right now. You could also right-click and notice that you have Remove. So if you didn't want it at all anymore, you can choose Remove and it will remove it from this list.
Okay.
Let's say that you come in here and in your excitement to be able to reorganize or maybe add some commands to some of these tabs, you look at it and you say, gosh, now this doesn't even look recognizable. One of the things that you can do is you can reset a tab as well. You can come down to Reset and reset all of the customizations. Now, if we had made any changes to home, we would also see Reset Only Selected Ribbon tab. In this particular case, we didn't make any changes to home, so that's why it's grayed out.
Okay.
Maren, in talking about customizing, one thing that you can do that will save you a ton of time is the ability to create your own templates. So I have a document here that you use quite frequently and you make changes to it. So we can save this as a template and you can bring this up, make your changes, and then send it out over and over again.
Okay.
In order to save this as a template, let's go to File and Save a Copy. And let's go ahead and go to More Options, and let's just save this as Recommendation Letter. Right now it's saving this as a
Word document?
You got it. So let's change that to a Word template.
Okay, so if we save it as this type, Word template, it looks like it changed that file structure, and now it's going to save it into our custom Office templates.
That's right. It has to go there so that we can find it as a template. Let's choose Save, and then let's go open Word again. So now let's click on New, and you'll see under your Personal,
My new template recommendation letter.
That's right. So you can come here anytime, open this up.
Okay, so we've created a document from our template, but I actually need to change that template. This is an old date, so how can I change that original template?
Okay, so if you want to actually change the template that we opened, let's go ahead and go to File Explorer, and you would navigate to where you keep your templates. You can search up here in the top right-hand corner for that particular template name and right-click on the template that you want to change, and you want to open that template. So let's go ahead and change this here in the template. We'll put date as our placeholder, and then let's go ahead and save it.
This is going to be very helpful because I actually use this template a lot.
Let's continue customizing our table of contents. It's really easy to put a table of contents into a document, but sometimes when you do, you look at it and go, gosh, I wish I could change something in that. So let's look at how we can make those changes.
Okay.
So let's make sure that your cursor is in the table of contents and go up to References and Table of Contents. All the way at the bottom, we have Customize Table of Contents, and here is where you can make all of the changes that you would want to make to your table of contents. The first thing that I'd like to do is I'd like to go ahead and verify that I have a tab leader. Another thing that is really cool that you can do is you can come into Modify, and you have your different levels for your table of contents here, and it is set upon our styles, but we can change those. So if I come to level 2, it shows what the preview is and what all has been applied down below that. Notice that you have 10-point font size, bold, space, 12 points before, etc.
Okay, let me make sure I understand. When the table of contents is created, it's based on the headings styles, right? But here, we're just changing the way our table of contents looks. So these are defaults for table of contents styles.
That's correct.
Okay.
So let's go in and change this level 2 to not be bold. So I'll choose Modify, and then let's deselect bold. And notice that that shows what it will look like down below.
Okay, yes, here in the box it says font 10-point, but the bold is gone.
That's right. Notice at the bottom that we have some selections. One in particular, new documents based on this template. If this is a one-time deal, then we will not select that because we are going to make this change just for this document. But if we want this not to be bold for table of contents level 2, for every table of contents that we create based on this template going forward, then we would want to select that and it would make that true.
Okay.
Let's not select that and choose OK.
Okay, I see here as well, the style has been changed.
All right, so let's choose OK. One other thing before we apply this is I'd like to go into Options and talk a little bit about what you can do here. Word nicely sets this up that anything that you set as heading 1 will be on the first level for the table of contents. Anything that's heading 2, second level, heading 3, third. That's great. But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you want maybe the title to be level 1 and heading to be level 2, and this is where you would set that up. Let's remove heading 3 style so that it's not in our table of contents at all. Let's move down to title and make that level 1.
Okay, so now our title style is level 1.
That's correct. We are taking our styles on the left and we are matching it with our table of contents levels on the right.
Okay.
Now let's choose OK. Here it's asking us to replace this table of contents. Yes, we do. We made some changes.
Oh, that looks very different. And it's a lot easier to read. I really like how we can change the table of contents. It doesn't have to just be heading styles. We can add the title, and that can be a level on our table of contents. There's something else in my document that I'd like to be in the table of contents, but I don't want to apply a style to it at all. Can I still add it?
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and hold down Control and click on Market Segmentation. So here we have a title for a table that we can add to your table of contents. It doesn't have a heading applied to it. So let's go ahead and select our title and go to References, and in the Table of Contents group, choose Add Text. Now we can add this to level 1, 2, or 3. Which one do you think would be the best?
Let's try level 2. Okay, so it does look like it changed the format.
It did, and that's okay. We can just change it back to what it was before. Okay, we've reformatted it, so let's go back up to the top to our table of contents. And then let's update our table, the entire table, and now it's in our table of contents. So you would use this method in order to just add one line to your table of contents. But you could add a whole style by utilizing the options method.
Okay.
Word has some expert level features that you can use with fonts or styles. So let's start by talking about OpenType fonts.
Okay.
So with OpenType fonts, this was actually a collaboration between Microsoft and Adobe, so that if somebody created a document with unique font or a brand new font, let's say for a style guide for a company, that you would be able to read it in another software. It also allows you to have a digital signature associated with the font so that you can trace back where that font came from.
Oh, wow.
So let's go ahead and go in and turn on the ability to look at OpenType fonts.
Okay, but before we start, are there other reasons why we would use OpenType fonts?
Absolutely. So OpenType fonts allow for broader multi-platform support. They also are better support for international character sets. So if there are maybe character sets other than the alphanumeric character sets that we're used to. Also better protection for font data, smaller file sizes to make font distribution more efficient, and broader support for advanced typographic control. Let me show you where you turn this on. So if you go to the Home tab and the font group, let's open up the dialog box and go to the Advanced tab. All right, first we have ligatures, which contain different stylistic sets, number formats, and number spacing styles that really make our document look more artistic, like with flourishes or connecting certain letters. That needs to be on all. Number spacing, which can be either tabular for tables or charts or proportional for numbers like phone numbers or dates. This needs to be at default for OpenType features. Number forms are lining and old style, and those are two different ways of arranging numbers on a baseline. So lining is a straight row and old style is more irregular. Let's leave this on default for OpenType fonts. The next is stylistic sets. Stylistic sets help us manipulate around limitations in the way Word handles OpenType code. So for stylistic sets, they offer flourishes to the letter forms. You can select between 1 and 20. For OpenType fonts, we want to leave this at default. Last, you have Use Contextual Alternates. This tells Word to look for and to change combinations of specific letters. For example, two of the same letter, the second one will show differently. So let's go ahead and check that to allow for OpenType font features. Once you have all of these set correctly, then you can choose OK. Now you should be able to read any font in any document that is sent to you in Word.
Okay, that's great. So if I get a document from someone else, if I open it up, I won't have all those weird characters if it's a font I don't have.
That's right. Another expert feature that I'd like to show you is drop cap. So let's go ahead and select this first letter. And then on the Insert tab, all the way down at the end, we have drop cap. Now we have a couple of options here. We have dropped and then in margin.
No.
So I like drop too. That looks good. Before we actually choose that, we can also go into options and we can tell it how many lines it drops down. So we can make it really large.
No, that's really big.
It is really big. So let's go back in and fix this. Let's select it and right click. Go to drop cap. Let's bring this back down to 3 and let's increase the distance from the text a little bit to 0.2 and choose OK. Ooh.
Yeah, that looks good.
That looks really good. While we have this selected, let's do one more thing to this. So let's go to Home and come to the text effects. As you can see, there are quite a few. We've looked at these before in a previous course. Is there one that you really like?
Let's choose this one on the bottom far left.
All right. Let's go ahead and choose this, but notice that you also have options where you can individually work with the outline or the shadow or the reflection or glow. I kind of like the way they package these up here at the top, so let's go ahead and choose that. So now we have drop cap with text effects.
I like it.
It looks good.
I can see myself using these expert features for fonts and styles. This is going to be really helpful.
So you'll probably work a lot with styles in your document. So another advanced feature that you can utilize is the inspector for styles. That is on the Home tab and in the Styles group. We can open up our dialog box. This can either be a floating dialog box or it can be a pane that is attached to the right. So here my cursor is in Market Analysis, and that is what type of style?
It's a title style.
You got it. And then if I click in Business.
Okay, normal.
Perfect. And then Industry type.
Okay, that's a heading 1.
So isn't this great? You can click in any text and it will tell you exactly what style is applied to that.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Now down at the bottom, we have some tools we need to explore. In particular, I'd like to look at Style Inspector, which is the A with the little magnifying glass on it.
Oh, okay, so this gives us a lot more information. It's the paragraph formatting and all the details, plus text level formatting.
That's right. It shows us what it looks like, and then down below, it gives us exactly what makes that particular style, like it's justified, the line spacing, etc. Notice that there is an icon at the end of that where we can clear that formatting. So we do have the ability to do that from here as well.
Okay.
Now we also have a couple of icons down at the bottom. In particular, the A with the plus, that allows you to create a new style. And we actually have a special spot in this particular document where I would like to create a new style.
Okay. I usually do that from the menu.
You can. So let's go ahead and back out of here. And then let's go down to where we have a new list with the little globes. Now I've created this list and I would like for this to be a style. I'd like to use this over and over again. So let's go ahead and select my new list. And then let's go up to the top and come down to create a style. Now let's name this new style Globe, and then it shows us what it's going to look like in the preview. And then let's come to modify. As we look at this, this is really important to see the properties of this new style that we created. Not only do we have the name, but we also have the style type as linked paragraph and character. But more importantly to me, the style based on is list paragraph. I want this to show up when I use my bullets, and so this has to be in the list paragraph style. We also have style for following paragraph, and it's in globe. That means when we press enter that it will continue to give me the globe until we turn off our list function. We also have some formatting options. It shows us a preview of what it looks like, and then it has what we have applied down there at the bottom. Bold and indent, etc. And then we have our options at the very bottom, including new documents based on this template. If this is something that I'm going to use over and over again, I definitely want to add it to the template.
Okay.
This looks great. Let's choose OK.
Oh, okay, so I see we have a new style in our styles group, and it looks like it picked up some formatting I don't want. It's all bold here on this whole line.
That's right. If we come down to this next line and apply that style.
Oh, it makes the whole paragraph bold. Can we change that?
You sure can. That's pretty easy to fix. We'll just right-click on that and choose Modify. And then we will come into this style formatting, deselect bold, and then choose OK. Let's select all of the bullet points and then choose globe.
Okay, so we've changed the format of this style. Do we use the same process to, say, change the name of this style?
You could, but you could also just go up to this style and right-click and choose Rename as well.
Okay.
So let's change this to globe bullets.
Okay, so now we know it's always for a list.
That's right. So let's choose OK. And now we see that it's renamed Globe Bullets.
Okay.
Marin, we created a style in this document, and you may want to use this style in other documents. In the organizer, it allows you to import styles from one document or file to the other.
Okay.
The first thing that we need to do is go to the Styles pane. And then all the way at the bottom, you'll see Manage Styles. There is a lot of great things that you can do in here, and we're going to come back to this a little bit later, but for now, let's go to the organizer by selecting Import Export. So the organizer is a great place for you to copy styles from one file to another. In this particular case, we have Market Analysis and Normal Template open, so I could copy styles from Market Analysis to the Normal Template, or from the Normal Template to Market Analysis, either way.
And the normal template is what the new Word file is based on.
That's right. Now, we don't actually want to copy our style in Market Analysis over to the normal template. We want to put it into another file that we have already created. So let's come to where it says Close File under the normal template and select that. Now, we are going to browse and find our annual report. Don't forget that you may need to change looking for a template to all files in order to see your documents. And then here we see all of the styles that are in the annual report. Now let's go ahead and copy our globe bullets that we created. This style was created in the Market Analysis document. We select it, choose Copy over to the annual report, and then if I scroll down just a little bit, we see it is now in annual report.
Oh, there it is.
And you can rename it or delete it here as well.
Okay. Why would I rename it?
Well, you might want to rename it if it has a name that is similar or the exact same as a style as to where you've moved it. So you want it to be unique.
Okay.
So let's choose Close and go back to Manage Styles. And then let's go to Global Bullets. And in Manage Styles, if you select your style, notice that you have Modify, and you can change the name of it here. I'm not going to change the name of it. Let's choose Cancel. And then we come back to Manage Styles. And notice that you have Delete as well. So you can select a style and delete it directly from here without having to go into the organizer.
I really like this. You know, if I get a document that has a style that I really like, I don't have to recreate it. I can just copy it to my normal template and I'll always have it.
Marin, Word has some great features to work with documents, so let's take a look at some of those.
Okay.
The first thing that I'd like to show you is in Advanced Find. Marin, I know that you know how to search for text and find, but there are some other things that you can search for in your document as well. If we choose More and come down to Format, Here you can search for different font types or different paragraph settings. All of these are searchable within your document.
Oh, this is really helpful because sometimes I put a highlight in a particular part of my document that I want to come back to and work on again.
This will be perfect for that. So let's choose Highlight and then choose Find Next. Let me move this over so that you can see what we have highlighted.
All right.
And we're at the top of the document here. So if you click on Go To, notice that you have several different options on what you can navigate through. You have pages, bookmarks, lines, but if you scroll down to the bottom, notice that you have tables and graphics. Let's choose Table and choose Next. So you can navigate through your document by your tables, and you can verify the information in them.
Is this the same go-to that opens when I use Control-G?
Yes, it is. Let's go ahead and close the Find box and give that a try. And now that we have this open, let's go ahead and navigate to a graphic.
And I see here that we can navigate to the graphic or table by number, or just scroll through.
That's correct. Each graphic or each table is sequentially numbered. So if you have a large document, you can type in graphic 6 and go straight to that rather than having to go through the other 5 to get to the 6th graphic.
Now I know I can go to a particular page in my document from here. What if I want to find a page break that I've put in?
You can do that, but you need to do that in Find, not Go To.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and click on Find. And let me move this up so we can see Special. And under Special, you have all of these different characters that you can search for throughout your document that you might not see in your document, like a manual page break. So I noticed that we have the highlight on, so let's go ahead and turn that off. Now, under Format, when you choose Highlight again, it says Not Highlight, but we need to choose it a third time to completely turn it off.
Okay.
Now let's go ahead and choose Find Next and search for our page break. So the next thing I'd like to show you is Watermark. Watermark allows you to mark your document as a draft or maybe confidential if you have some secrets in there that you don't want people to see. So let's go take a look at that.
Okay.
I've closed our Find box and I've navigated to the top of our document. So let's go ahead and add a watermark. Watermark is under Design. And we have several watermarks that are set up for us.
Oh, and here are some of the examples you talked about, confidential or draft. There's a few others, though.
All right, so let's go ahead and add draft to this document. Do you like where it's angled or do you want it horizontal?
I like the angled one.
Okay, so let's go ahead and choose that.
And it's on every page.
You can modify the watermark. Notice that you have custom watermark. And in the text, you could type in anything. You could type in the name of your company and make that your watermark. Isn't that cool?
That's nice.
You also have where you can change the font and the size, whether it's semi-transparent or not. These are all different options. And then at the top, notice that you can also make a picture a watermark. So if you have a logo, maybe you can put that in the background as well.
I like that.
We'll go ahead and apply this and close.
Nice.
How about that? And when you need to remove the watermark, you can simply go to Watermark and remove the watermark.
Okay.
And you can also put the watermark in a specific position. I'll come down to this page 2 and place my cursor on page 2 and choose Watermark. And look what happens when I right-click on this draft.
Oh, insert at current document position.
That's right. So if I choose that, I can put it on just this page. Now I don't see it on the other pages.
Oh, okay. So if I have a section of my document where I'm still working on it, I can just put draft on that one page.
That's right. Let's go to the top of our document and let me show you something else that I think is really fun because it just adds a lot of polish to your document. Let's go to Insert and Cover Page.
Oh, it looks like you have some choices here.
Yes, if you scroll down, you'll see a lot of pre-designed cover pages, and all you have to do is select one, and then you can fill in the information. Let's go ahead and choose motion. And then all we have to do is click inside the fields and fill those in.
I see it has commercial building market analysis. Where did that come from?
Well, that is the name of my document in properties. So I have that as well as my name, and it pulled that into my cover page.
Oh, because you're the author.
That's right. Now let me go ahead and click at the beginning of the next page, and I'll show you some additional options. So if I go to cover page and right-click on the cover page that I want to put in, I have some more options. Let's say that you are writing a book and you would like a cover page at the beginning of each chapter. You can place your cursor at the beginning of that chapter, and you can make your choice here to insert at current document position.
Or we can put in a cover page at the beginning of a section or the end of a section.
That's right, or at the end of the document. You have lots of options here. The next thing I'd like to show you is how to put a blank page in. A lot of times when you have a cover page, you want a blank page behind that. So if you print it, it just has the cover page and then it's blank behind that.
Right.
So place your cursor where you would like the blank page and go to Insert, Blank Page.
Oh, that's much better than adding more page breaks or section breaks.
That's right. Now, another thing I'd like to show you is how to use ink equation, where you can actually write your own equations.
All right.
Let's go to Insert, and all the way at the end we have Equation. Now, we have all of these built-in equations that we can use, and these are great, but if you have a unique equation to your organization, like a earned value equation or something of that nature, you do have the ability to write your own equations under Ink Equation. So this is an area that you can write your equation. For instance, I have an equation that utilizes some of the acronyms that we have in our document here. I started to draw my equation, and it's not picking up my mouse movements exactly how my equation is. So let's go in and fix this. So let's choose Select and Correct, and then click on that X. And look at the options that it gives us.
Right, and we even have an option for a multiplication sign.
Great, let's go ahead and select that.
Nice, it fixed it.
So now as you utilize some of these different tools at the bottom, notice that you can erase. So if something that you write is not recognizable at all, you can choose Erase, or you can clear and start all over again. So there's some great tools down here at the bottom. Once we're all finished and we have our equation in there, we can choose Insert, and it will insert it where our cursor is in the document.
Okay.
Now, we didn't finish our equation, so notice that we have this whole equation contextual tab that just has a plethora of information here. We can add symbols, fractions, script. There's all kinds of different structures. Or we could actually go back into Ink Equation and continue to try to write this particular equation.
Okay. I can't wait to use this on our next research and development report.
Maren, we want to work smarter, not harder. So one of the things that we can do is something that we use over and over again. We can reuse that content, like a title in a newsletter, in the form of a building block. So let me show you how to do that.
Okay.
So here we have our title for our newsletter. Let's go ahead and select that, as well as the name and the line below it. I'm using Control A in order to select this. Now let's go to Insert and go to Quick Parts. And under Auto Text, we have Save Selection to Auto Text Gallery. Let's name this Newsletter Title. It's categorized in the gallery as Auto Text. And let's type in a description, Bastian, Newsletter Title heading. This will save in the normal template, and this will insert as content only. We also have this where it can insert as its own paragraph or its own page. We'll leave this at Insert Content Only. I'm going to click OK. Now let's go test it out. Let's open a new document. And if we go to Insert, Quick Parts, Auto Text, it's there. How about that?
Oh, so easy. I love it. Well, we do want to work smarter, not harder. So is there a faster way to insert this auto text?
There sure is. Do you remember what we called that quick part?
I think it was newsletter title?
That's right. So why don't you go ahead and start typing that in? Now that you've started to type in newsletter, which is our title, go ahead and choose F3 on your keyboard.
And it inserted our auto text. That's great.
That's right. You just need to remember what you named your quick part. Now, sometimes you may need to change this. Let's say that you wanted to change the color of Bastion Corporation newsletter. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's change the color and go ahead and select our text, including the line below. This time, let's choose Alt F3. And then let's type in the same name so that we replace the previous quick part. And then we'll go ahead and fill in the description and choose OK. So here it's asking us if we want to redefine our previous quick part, which we do. So let's go ahead and choose yes.
Okay, so I will start typing the name of our quick part and choose F3.
Perfect.
Now it's got the new color.
Next, I'd like to put a pull quote in here, which is a short sentence that is pulled from the information that is in the newsletter. So on the Insert tab, let's go to the text box drop-down. And you can see that we have several options for quotes. I'd like to go down to the bottom and choose this WISP quote. And then let's move this down a little bit and put some text in here. There we go.
That looks really nice.
The next thing that we're going to do is to add a sidebar. I'll go ahead and click in a blank space here. And then let's go to Insert and over here to our text box gallery.
Okay, I see we have some built-in formats for sidebars. It just puts our text on the side.
That's right. So let's scroll down and choose Grid Sidebar. And then I'll go ahead and paste some information in our sidebar so you can see what it looks like.
Okay. And I can go in and make any edits in this sidebar if I want to as well.
Absolutely, just like any text box. Maren, we have worked with quick parts in creating our title. We've also worked with the pull quote as well as the sidebar. All of these are considered building blocks, and you can work with these in the building blocks organizer. So let's go take a look at that. On the Insert tab, under Quick Parts, you'll see the building blocks organizer.
Oh, and I can see our auto text that we just created for our newsletter.
That's right. Maren, not only do we have our newsletter, but we have really a lot of different saved objects that are in here that we can utilize in our document. For instance, we can see cover pages here, or if I scroll down just a little bit, you'll see footers and headers or even page numbers that we can insert into our document.
Well, for example, we inserted a cover page using another method, but we could actually come here to our building blocks organizer to insert a cover page or anything else like that.
That's correct. The great thing about the building blocks organizer is it is the all-encompassing place where all of our saved elements or our built-in elements are located. So we can insert anything from here into our document. Maren, when you're working with documents, you can actually bring in dictionaries specific to your industry or business. So let me show you where you do that.
Okay.
First, let's go to File, and let's come all the way down to Options, and the Proofing tab. Our custom dictionaries are here in the middle, so let's go ahead and choose that, and we can see the custom dictionaries that are in there now. Currently, we have 3 that are enabled, but notice that we can also add dictionaries over here on the right. These are dictionaries that our spell check is pulling from. We can go and edit a dictionary. If we look at Edit Word List, notice that we have some words in our dictionary here.
Okay, yeah, it looks like I added these when I was doing a spell check.
That's right. A lot of times we will add a product or a person's name to our dictionary so it doesn't continue to pick it up as a misspell.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and cancel out of this. Now, the opposite of what we just did, where we have words in the dictionary that we don't want them to be marked as misspelled, we may want certain words that are real words and we want them to be marked as incorrect because we don't want them in our document, like the word dumb or inappropriate.
Okay.
So in order to do that, we need to put those words in our exclude dictionary. Here we are in File Explorer, and I have navigated to our exclude dictionary. In this particular file name, you'll notice some numbers at the end, and those numbers may be a little different depending on the language that you're using. One other thing is you may have to unhide some folders in order to be able to find this.
Okay.
Now, what I'll do is go ahead and right-click on this and choose Open with Notepad. In this notepad, you would type any words that you want Word to mark as incorrect. You would put each word on its own line. So let's go ahead and put a couple of words in here.
Okay. I'll go ahead and add the words that you mentioned, dumb and inappropriate. And I need to press Enter after each word.
That's correct. Now let's go ahead and save this, and then we can close this file. And then let's go back to our file and see if it works.
Okay. Okay, Christina, did you type this document or did I?
Well, I may have planted a few words in here to verify that the words that we put in our exclude dictionary are incorrect.
All right. I think this is a really helpful tool.
Now, if we go back to File Options, there's also a couple of other things I'd like to show you as far as auto-formatting and auto-formatting as you type. And this time, let's go to autocorrect options.
Oh yeah, right here is where I've added items to autocorrect.
But you'll notice that there's some tabs up at the top. For instance, auto format. Auto format is a setting that is applied when you run the auto format command. You can add that command to the quick access toolbar and it will go and look for these certain things. But if you look at auto format as you type, these are different items that you can turn on or off that will apply as you're typing. For instance, a lot of times I'll come in here and turn off internet and network paths with hyperlinks because I don't want it to show up as a hyperlink. I just want it to be a website or an email address.
Okay, so if I don't want the ordinals with superscript, I can uncheck this, and then for all of my future Word documents, it's turned off.
That's correct.
Okay.
So let's move down the page and look at the Apply as you Type section. I think most people are familiar with the automatic numbered list where you type in a number and a period and press enter and it will continue to number. But I don't think that a lot of people know that you can do that with bulleted list as well.
You could do automatic bulleted lists. What does that mean? How do you do that?
Well, let me show you. I also want to show you border lines as well. That's a slick feature.
All right then.
We have closed file options and we have moved down to the bottom of our document to a blank line. Here, what we'll do is go ahead and put in an asterisk and choose our space bar. And look what happens.
We have a bullet.
So it's an automatic bullet. Let's go ahead and type in strength. And then let's press enter.
And another bullet.
There you go. Let's type in weaknesses. And then let's press enter twice.
Okay, and our bulleted list is done.
That's right. Now let's put a border in here. So for automatic borders, there's different types of borders you can put in here. You can put a thin border by putting 3 hyphens in a row, no spaces, and then press enter. Let's try that first.
Okay. Oh, that's so nice.
That's a good one, but let's say that we want to put in a thicker border. Then you can do 3 equal signs.
Oh, I like that one better.
There are different symbols that you can enter into this in order to get different borders automatically. One last thing that I'd like to show you is in AutoMath. So let's go back to File Options and Proofing, go back into Autocorrect Options, and look at Math Autocorrect. So in Math Autocorrect, it's similar to autocorrect, except for we have symbols instead of text. There's some great symbols that you can put directly into your document as you type. So one that I use quite a bit is sigma, so I can do a backward slash and sigma. But also, if you come all the way down to the bottom, you'll probably recognize these different symbols that we can put into our document as well.
Oh, this is an easy way to make a greater than or equals to sign, or even an arrow.
That's right. Let's go test it out, but first, let's go ahead and check this box up at the top where it says use math autocorrect rules outside of math regions so that we can type this directly into a sentence in our document.
Okay. Okay, let's try a few of these out. I'll try sigma.
There you go.
I like it.
How about your greater than and equal to sign?
Okay. Well, that's what that should look like. I think this is going to save me so much time because searching for the symbol to insert it takes a lot of time. So now I can just type in what I want and it shows up.
Marin, when we're working with endnotes and footnotes, sometimes you would like to customize those. So let's go in and look at the options.
Okay.
Let's go down to page 5 and select our footnote. Come up to the home page and let's go ahead and go into our styles and manage styles. So here in Manage Styles, we have footnote text selected already because we selected it in our document, which is handy so we don't have to search for it.
That's great.
Let's come to Modify. And then let's make this a little bit larger. Let's make it 11-point font size. And how about we change the formatting so that we can really see a difference? Let's choose OK and OK again.
All right, it updated our style and now we can really see it better.
That's right. Now, there's something else that we need to do in the References tab. Let me go ahead and click off of my footnote and come up to References. In the Footnotes group, let's choose our Open Dialog box. We have a lot of options here with both our footnotes and endnotes. Right now, we're working with footnotes. It's selected. Notice that we can choose this to be at the bottom of a page or below text, meaning if text ends halfway down the page, we could see it at that point.
It looks too that you could convert your footnotes to endnotes or back the other way.
That's right. If we choose Convert, not only can we convert all our footnotes to endnotes or endnotes to footnotes, but we can also swap them. Let's cancel out of this and move down our options here. But really, what I'd like to focus on is under Format, we can change our number formatting as well. So here in number formatting, instead of our Arabic numbers, we can actually choose maybe lowercase Roman numeral, which would be appropriate, especially for certain documents. Last, as we move down the page, notice that our numbering, we can choose whether it's continuous throughout the whole document or restart it at each section. You might want to do that if you have a book and you have different chapters and you want to restart those numbers at the beginning of each chapter.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then once you make your changes, you would go ahead and choose Apply.
And now it's changed to a Roman numeral.
That's right. Next, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about headers and footers and section breaks at the same time. There are instances in a document where maybe you want for a table of contents to have Roman numerals at the bottom, and then the rest of the document have Arabic numbers. So in that case, we need to put in some section breaks in order to make that happen.
Okay.
So we've moved to page 2 here. We're under the table of contents. Now, just so that I can see this a little bit better, let's go to the Home tab and turn on Show Hide. Now we can see our page break. So instead of putting a page break here, let's put a section break. I'll delete this page break, and then let's go to Layout and Breaks and do a Next Page section break. Now that we have that section break in, let's go ahead and work with our headers and footers. So I'll just double click down here at the bottom to get into our footer section.
And it's easy to see. You've got footer section 1, and then the next page is header section 2.
Exactly. So here, let's go ahead and work with our header and footer contextual tab. Up at the top, you'll notice that we have page numbers. So for our page number, let's put a page number at the bottom in the center. And we have this one.
But is this actually page 1 of our document?
It's not. If you look, we do have a cover page.
And it's at 0.
That's right, and we don't want that, do we? So let's go up to our header and footer and choose different first page. So now if we go back up to our cover page, notice that 0 is gone. Now let's go back down and work on this number. So let's right click on that one, go to Format Page Numbers, and instead of Arabic numbers, let's go ahead and choose our Roman numerals. We don't have a chapter number to include, and we do want it to start at Roman numeral lowercase 1, so let's choose OK.
Okay, it's changed to Roman numeral 1, but won't that make the rest of my document Roman numerals?
So let's go take a look. So here we have our lowercase Roman numerals, and we don't want that to be the case. So let's come up to the header and footer contextual tab and choose Link to Previous. By deselecting Link to Previous, what that allows us to do is control this particular section. So whether we're talking about numbers, page numbering, or any header and footer, if you want to control a specific section, you need to unlink to the previous section.
Okay.
So now that we've unlinked that, let's go back and format those page numbers and make them Arabic numbers so that we have Roman numerals for our table of contents, and for the rest of the document, we will have Arabic numbers. Now down here at the bottom, we have Start At, and we want it to start at 1. Let's choose OK. And now we have 1 for our document, and on our table of contents, we have
our Roman numerals.
Perfect. Now, we have worked with our footer, and I think we've got that worked out.
Okay.
So now let's work with the header. Now we unlinked the footer, but we have not unlinked the header. So if we come down to our section 2 header, notice that it has same as previous, and link to previous comes back. So that's kind of how you can tell if it's linked to the previous sections or not.
So it's a good idea to, when we change this, to look at our following sections and see if we still want that header to populate the rest of the document.
That's right. So let's go ahead and place your cursor in the header. We'll go to Document Info, Document Property, and add our company field. And I have put our company name under File Info, so it's automatically in here based on that field.
All right.
Now, to your point earlier, Maren, you can check or go through your different sections by utilizing the navigation in the header and footer tab. So if I choose Previous,
you can check your previous section header.
That's right. Or if I'm at the top here, I can choose Next, and it will navigate down through my document. Now let's do columns. I've navigated to the end of our document, and what I'd like to do is create some columns. So let's select this paragraph and go to Layout and Columns, and instead of choosing 1, 2, or 3, let's go to More Columns. Here we do have the same ability to choose, let's say, 3 columns. The great thing about this is it allows you to change the width and the spacing in between your columns. So here I can increase my width, maybe decrease my spacing, and I even can put a line in between these for separation. Isn't that cool?
That's nice.
Now down here at the bottom, notice that we have equal column width. I'll leave that selected so that they're all equal and they're not different sizes right now. And we can apply this to the selected text, which is what we want. Now let's choose OK.
Okay, I like the columns, but it still doesn't look quite right.
Yeah, let's do some more work on this. So let's go ahead and select it again. Come back up to Columns and More Columns. So in order to fix this, let's go ahead and choose 2 columns let's take off that line in between, and let's leave this at 3, but let's uncheck equal column width, and let's make them different widths. So the second column, let's make this a little bit smaller.
And it looks like our spacing is changing as well.
I think 1 inch is probably good.
Okay.
And then let's go ahead and choose OK.
Okay, that looks better. However, I'd like to have opportunities in the right column.
So let's go ahead and place our cursor in front of opportunities, and let's come up to breaks, and let's put a column break in here.
Okay, I like that better. So we have another section break here with our columns, but we have other sections in our document. Is there an easy way to move through these sections and find our sections like we did with our headers and footers?
Absolutely. First, let me show you down here at the bottom in our status bar where you can turn on the ability to see what section you're in. So by checking this, notice in the bottom left-hand corner that we are in section 2. Now, let's go ahead and select something down here, and now we're in section 3. That's right. Now you can navigate throughout your document utilizing the Go To dialog box and just choosing sections.
Okay, so that's an easy way to get through our sections, and actually creating these sections and being able to navigate and change them the way I want them to look, it's going to be very helpful in formatting my documents.
Maren, we have our document here, and I feel like we can really jazz this up as well as bring additional understanding on what marketing is. So I'd like to put a marketing definition in here under market analysis that people can read, but it's separated from the rest of the information. So let's do that through text boxes.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and put a text box right here at the beginning. Let's do Insert, Text Box. We can draw a text box, or we can just put a simple text box in here. I'll go ahead and do that. Let's move this over here to the left and make this a little bit smaller so it doesn't take up quite as much real estate. Now I have copied a quote, so I will go ahead and select the information that's in here, and let's paste my quote in here.
Okay, but it looks like this text box is not quite big enough, so we can just resize it for this quote, yeah?
Well, we could resize it, but honestly, because this is the first page of my document, I really don't want the quote to take up too much real estate. So what I would like to do is start the quote here, but then I want to finish it at the bottom of my page.
Okay.
All right, so let's go do that. So let's navigate to the bottom of the page and put another text box in here. Now let me resize this. All right, let me delete this text so I can put the new text in and go back to where our quote is located. So what I want to do is I want to create a link between this text box and the one at the bottom. So let's go to Create Link and look at my cursor.
Oh, yeah, it looks like a little picture.
That's right. So let's take that little picture and let's pour it into our other text box.
Oh, okay, so it automatically split the text between the two text boxes.
That's right. So this is really a great feature. You can utilize the handles and watch as I navigate and change the size of this box, what happens down below.
It acts like one text box.
That's right.
Okay, so as we resize this text box, the amount of text in it can change and spill over into the second text box.
That's right. Now notice we also have break link up there under text. So what I can do is I can come up to this top text box and I can break that link, and notice that everything deletes from the bottom text box.
Can we put it back?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's really helpful.
One other thing that I'd like to show you is putting a field in your document and showing you how you can update that field.
Okay.
One of the things that you might want to do is you might want to know who has last saved information in this particular document. Let's go to the bottom of the document and type in the words last saved by, because when we put in our field, it will just fill in what the field name is. It won't put last saved by in there. Let's go up to the Insert tab and come over to Quick Parts. and insert a field. So there are several categories. Let's go to the document information category, and we should see last saved by in here.
It looks like there's a lot of information to choose from that you can keep track of while you're editing your documents.
That's right, and you can put these fields in your document. So let's go ahead and choose OK. And here we have it. My name is in there. I was the last one to save it. So sometimes you want to know what fields are in your document if you've inherited a document. And it's hard to see. It just looks like I typed my name in there, right?
Right.
So what you can do is you can choose Alt F9, and it will show you the fields throughout your document.
Okay.
So now I have my name in there, and I believe that I have a colleague that has done a little work in here. So what I'll do is you can either right-click and choose Update Field, or you can also choose F9, and that will also update your fields.
Okay. Great. And we can see that Kathy was the last one to save this document.
That's right.
You know, having those fields really opens up a whole new category of information that I can use while I'm creating my documents.
Marin, before you send your document to somebody, one thing you might want to do is you might want to protect it.
Oh, so somebody can't edit it after you've sent it to them?
That's one of the options. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Okay.
First, let's go look at where we can add a password. So let's go to File, Info, and Protect Document. Notice that your second option there is
To encrypt with a password.
So let's go ahead and select that. So here we are at the password, and a couple of things we need to remember about the password is you need to remember it, first of all. So put it in some super secret place so that you can find it again. The other thing is when we put our password in here, you may want to use like a naming convention so that you can remember what it is for your Word documents.
Okay. And this password applies to me as well for my own document. So if I put a password on it, I'm going to have to remember it when I want to look at it.
That's right.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and put test in here, and then it will ask us for a confirmation. And then let's choose OK again. And now we have a password.
So what will this look like when I open my document now?
So let's go ahead and test this out. We'll go ahead and close Word and reopen it, and look what happens.
Okay, it doesn't just open it. I have to put in the password.
But you know what the password is, right?
Right, it's test.
All right, so let's go ahead and put that in there.
Okay, so I need to make sure to give whoever I'm sending this to the password.
That's right.
But also, they'll be able to edit it, right? So this is something that I would do just to protect the file, but not necessarily keep someone from editing it.
That's correct. They would be able to do anything in there that you could do.
As long as they have the password.
That's right. Let me show you how to restrict editing in a file. So let's go to File, Info, and Protect Document. And while we're in here, let's go ahead and take this password off. So let's go to Encrypt with Password, and all you have to do is remove the password. Let's choose OK.
And now it's not protected.
That's right. Now, to restrict editing, let's go back into Protect Document and come down to Restrict Editing. So here in the Restrict Editing pane, we have several different options as far as the type of editing that we can restrict. Now the first one restricts us and what we can do as far as styles go. So it only allows us to use certain styles that are selected. So in order to turn this on, we'll check this, and then you choose Settings. And when we come into these settings for formatting restrictions, we have the ability to select different styles. Notice that all of them are selected here, which basically means the person who receives this, if this is turned on, cannot modify the formatting. There's no modifying, making something bold, whether it's changing the style or changing it in the document.
Okay, so this is really helpful when you have company guidelines for what your styles need to be.
That's right. So we would make sure that all of these are selected. You do have a couple of other options. Notice that if you just wanted certain things that were restricted, you can choose recommended minimum, or you can choose none and then go and check which ones you wanted to restrict. Now there are a couple of other options down below. You can allow auto format to override your formatting restrictions, meaning it will engage based on what is in auto format. You can block theme or scheme switching, where you can't change what the scheme is, the color scheme, etc. And you can block quick style set switching, where people can't switch the quick styles.
Okay.
Let's leave those unchecked for now and choose OK. We have a notification that say that there may be some formatting or styles that aren't allowed. Do we want to remove them? On this, let's go ahead and say no. The next section allows editing restrictions, only certain types. So let's go ahead and check this and look at what our types are. Right now, we have no changes read only. I want to point out that there are several others. We can turn on track changes, where if any changes are made, track changes will appear, and you can't turn them off. So that's important. We also have comments and filling in forms. Forms are great in order to freeze everything except for the fields that you have to fill in. Now, if we come to track changes, then any changes in here will be marked as a track change. So let's go to no changes, read only, and we can put in exceptions to this. So for instance, I can select a section of my document and then allow, let's say, accounting to edit their section, and then select another section and let IT edit that section. Great for things like annual reports or documents where multiple people are contributing in that particular document.
That's really easy. That's helpful.
Now, when you apply these restrictions, then you need to enforce the restrictions. So here is where you would enforce the protection. So when we choose Start Enforcing Protection, notice that we have some options here.
Right, so we can enter a new password, but that's optional. And we know how to set a password, right? Isn't this the same thing?
Well, this is setting a password for changing the restrictions, not for opening the document.
Okay.
Along those lines, we have user authentication, where an authenticated owner has the ability to go in and change the restrictions as well. In this case, we will leave that blank, and let's go ahead and choose OK. So if we had just come into this document and see this restrict editing over on the right, I can click on Find Next Region that I can edit and go straight to the region that I can go in and work on.
Okay. But we want to stop protection, and we can do that by clicking on the button here at the bottom.
That's right. And because we didn't put a password in here, it will stop the protection immediately, and we can work with restrict editing in our document.
So I noticed there were some other options under Protect Document. What are those?
Let's go take a look. So let's go back to Protect Document. Now this first option, Always Open Read Only, what this allows you to do is when you turn this on, it will allow a person to open this document and read only, but then they can opt in to edit.
Okay.
I'm going to close Restrict Editing pane, and then let's go ahead and close and reopen this file.
Okay, so when we open the document, we have this option to open it as read only.
That's right. So if we choose yes, it will be read only. If we choose no, we'll be able to edit it. So it's a choice. Let's go ahead and choose no.
This is really flexible, but there's so many ways that I can protect my document.
Marin, you have some things that you can do with Access, and some of those have restrictions associated with them in Share. So let's go take a look at those options.
Okay.
So let's go back to Protect Document, and let's go ahead and turn off Always Open Read Only. And let's go down and choose Mark as Final. So in Mark as Final, what it does is that freezes the document per se, and it is marked as a final document. And if any changes are made, then that Mark as Final stamp is taken off of that.
Okay.
So let's go see what that looks like. You may get this dialog box that reminds us what Mark as Final is doing, but let's go ahead and take a look. So now let's go back to our document,
And we have a new banner here that says marked as final, but it looks like we could edit it anyway.
That's right, but as the note suggests, this is just discouraging editing. This document and document properties is marked as final. If we choose to edit, then that stamp will be taken away or that property will be taken away.
Okay, and it looks like when we marked as final, it also became read-only.
That's right. So if we edit, then it won't be read-only anymore.
Okay.
So one way we can turn this off is by choosing Edit Anyway. And then let's go back to Protect Document. And notice that Mark as Final is not selected anymore. Now the last one I'd like to talk about is Restrict Access. So what this allows us to do is to give certain people access to our document, and we also have the ability to determine whether they have unrestricted access, restricted access, confidential, or confidential view only. So let's take a look at restricted access. So in this particular dialog box, this is where we would want to restrict permission to this document. We have the ability to say, hey, only certain people can do read only, or to change this document. Now remember, these are individuals that are within our organization. So for instance, if I go to read, notice that we have all of the individuals that are in our organization. Let's go ahead and put Marin in here. And notice down at the bottom, we have read only Marin Reeves. Underneath that, if I, let's say, wanted someone to be able to change items in this document, I can put their name here and change. So let's go ahead and put Kathy in this. So you would have read-only access, no editing, and Kathy will have editing access.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and choose OK, and you'll see those names pop up here in the boxes to the right of read and change.
So now Kathy and I are the only ones who could read or edit this document.
Yes, notice that you do also have the little icon to the right where I could add all of the individuals. It wouldn't make sense to add all the individuals in our organization to change, because then why would you put this in here? But you might want to do that for read-only. Maybe you want everybody in the organization to have read-only access to this document.
Okay.
One other thing is you have a few other options down here in the bottom left-hand corner where you can have additional permissions or additional settings. Let's go ahead and choose OK. And now that is applied.
Okay, so if I ever want to turn that feature off, I just go back to Protect Document.
That's right. So you go to Protect Document, Restrict Access, and we go to our organization, and then just choose Unrestricted Access. It's going to verify, are you sure? Let's go ahead and say yes. And now it has unrestricted access.
Okay.
Now I've showed you how to put a password on this document to open it. Now let's look at how we put a password on the document to modify it.
Okay.
So let's go over to Save a Copy. And you'll notice you have this More Options link. Let's go ahead and select that. Let's go to Tools and General Options. So here we have two options to put a password in. The first one is the one that we did before, where it's just a password to open. But look at what the second one is. It's a password to
modify.
That's right. So here we can put in a password, and when somebody puts this in, they have the ability to modify this document. Let's put in a password and then choose OK. Let's re-enter the password. Let's go ahead and save and close the document.
Okay, so now when we open the document, we have the option to enter a password in order to modify that document, or just open read only.
That's right. So let's go ahead and put our password in here. So another place that we can give somebody access to this document, but maybe with some restrictions, is through Share. So if we go to Share, and then choose Share Settings. In here, we can share a link to either individuals or with everybody at Bigger Brains. But notice down at the bottom that we have some setting options. So we can say they can edit this, or that they can only review it and suggest changes, or they can't make changes at all. So in this particular case, what we can do is say, hey, you can only view this, and everybody in Bigger Brains now will only be able to view this particular document.
Okay.
We also have the ability to add specific individuals. So here we can share with specific people that we choose both inside or outside our organization. Some organizations do not let you share externally, so you won't have an area where you can enter those email addresses.
Okay.
So I'm going to close this share box, and then I want to show you where you can hide certain things.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't make them go away. We're just going to hide them from view. So let's go ahead and choose this title up at the top and go to the font dialog box and choose hidden. Let's choose OK.
Okay, it's gone. How can I tell if I actually have hidden text in my document?
That's a great question. So what we can do is we can come up and choose the show hide, and now
It's back.
it's back.
And it looks like it's got these little dots underneath it, so that may be indicating that it's hidden text.
That's right. So we are just seeing this because we have show hide on. If we turn off show hide and select our entire document, we can go back to the font dialog box and uncheck hidden and choose OK.
And now it's back.
And now that and anything else that was hidden is back, and we can see that in our document.
Okay.
Another way to distribute your document is as a Sway presentation.
Oh, okay. That's the Microsoft Office app that is a presentation app.
That's right. So let's go to File and Transform. You have several styles to choose from, and you can choose a different style and then choose Transform.
Oh, wow. That looks cool.
And we can scroll down and see some of the formatting here. It's pretty cool.
It is. Great. And I can edit it here, too, in Sway before I share it.
Absolutely. And you may need to, depending on how it comes over. Marin, if you would like to verify your document hasn't been tampered with since you last worked with it, you can do that through applying a digital signature. So let's go in and apply that to this document.
All right.
So let's go to File, and then let's go to Info. And under Protect Document, we have Digital Signature. So a digital signature is an electronic encrypted stamp of authentication on digital information. A signature confirms that the information originated from the signer and has not been altered. So here we have a commitment type. So we can say we created and approved this document, or we can separate those out and say we just created it or we just approved it. Let's go ahead and choose Create and Approve this document. Now we can also put in this line, purpose for signing this document. If there's a specific purpose, maybe this is approval process 2, or to push this to the next level, we can go ahead and type that in here. If you would like to put additional information about the signer, we can put in their role or title, their address, where they're located. So here, let's go ahead and just put CFO in here. Choose OK. Let's go ahead and sign this document.
Oh, okay. But it says here that the certificate you selected cannot be verified. What does that mean?
So you purchase a certificate from a certificate authority that is sort of like a notary public that gives you a digital stamp that says that that's your signature.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and select yes here.
Okay, so we can still digitally sign this document without the certificate of authority?
That's right. A digital signature will let people know that you have finalized and approved this document. So we can use it without the certificate.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and choose OK.
Okay, so I see a signature has been added here, but how do I see it in the document?
So it doesn't add an actual signature. What it does, if you look here, it marks in a banner up at the top that it's marked as final. And the signature will go away if any changes are made to this document because this document has been signed as it is.
Okay.
And as you can see down in the status bar, there's a page with a key on it. And when you click on that, it will give our signature pane over on the right.
Okay, and it looks like at the bottom of this pane, it's letting us know that this document is signed. And if we edit it, that digital signature will go away. Well, what if I need someone to actually sign my document, like with a signature line?
Let's go add a signature. Let's go to Insert and then down to Signature Line. So we have two options here. One, we could add our digital signature services, which we talked about just a moment ago, but we can also add a Microsoft Office signature line. So in the signature setup, this is where we would put the information that's going to be below the signature line. So let's go ahead and put your name in here, suggested signer. And then for your title, let's put CFO. And then let's put your email address in here. And then there's instructions to the signer. If you need to tell them specific instructions, you can type those in here, but they're pre-populated as you can see. Now let's go ahead and choose Allow the signer to add comments in the sign dialog. And we also have the sign date will be put in there as well. And then let's choose OK.
There's my signature line. Now how do I sign it?
Well, let's do it. So let's come back to our signature line, and then let's right-click on it and choose Sign. Here is the dialog box to sign. Notice that we have a place to go ahead and sign it here. Let's type in your name. Over to the right, notice you have Select Image. So if you have a digital signature that you want to bring into this particular signature, you can do that as well.
Okay.
Now down below, we have our commitment type. We have created and approved this document, approved, or just created. Let's go ahead like we did before and choose created and approved, and then purpose for signing this document. Let's go ahead and leave that blank. So here we can put in additional information about the signer, but I think we have what we need. We have your name and your title, so let's cancel out of this.
Okay. What if I want to change this in some way? For example, who's going to sign it or take away those comments?
In that case, let's go ahead and cancel out of this. Just go to your signature and right-click and choose Signature Setup. And all of your choices are in here. So we could uncheck allowing the signer to add comments and choose OK. Then when we go to sign,
those comments are gone. Okay.
Let's go ahead and type your name in here again and then sign. It's telling us that our certificate cannot be verified. We'll go ahead and sign it anyway. And then it says it's been successfully saved.
Okay, and now it's indicated that we've signed the document and also marked as final.
That's right. So if a change is made to this document, then the signature is no longer valid.
Okay.
Now let's go ahead and right-click on this and let me show you how to remove a signature should you need to. Notice now that you have Remove Signature. It says, do you want to permanently remove the signature? Let's choose Yes. And now the signature has been removed and the document is saved.
And now my document is unsigned.
That's right. And notice that it is not marked as final anymore either.
Good. Oh, and the signature line is still there. I really like this. I don't have to use another app in order to get my documents signed or to sign them myself. It's just part of Word.
Marin, have you ever been in the situation where you have multiple copies floating around of a document and you're just saying to yourself, how am I going to bring all of these together?
Yes, that's happened.
So what we want to do is let's go and look at this feature in Word where we can combine documents.
Okay.
So let's go to Review and then Compare. And we are in our original document, and I'd like to combine that with a document that Kathy has made some changes in. So let's come down to Combine. All right, I'll go ahead and select our original document, which is the document that we're in. So that is the original document. And then let's look at Kathy's document over on the right in the revised document. So notice that you have a folder on the right that allows you to browse for your file if you don't have it in the drop-down here. And you have those two little arrows down at the bottom that affects how the changes are marked when we look at our combined document. Now let's go and choose More, and let's look at some of the options in here. Now we have two different sections here. We have comparison settings and we have show changes. So in comparison settings, notice that those are all checked, which means that if they are changed, it will give us a notification of that. So if you don't care about some of these being changed, then you can uncheck those.
Okay, for example, if I don't care about the footnotes, I can uncheck this and it won't make those comparisons.
That's exactly right. Down below show changes, we can show changes at a character level, or we can leave this at a word level, which is what we will leave it as. And then we can show changes in not only the new document, but we can choose original or revised document. So if you want to maintain all of that in your original document, then we can make that as a selection. Typically, we put this in a new document though.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and choose OK. It's giving us a notification about formatting. We'll go ahead and choose Continue with Merge.
Okay, this is a lot of documents. What are we looking at here?
So we actually have three documents here. We have on the far right our original document. Down below we have our revised document, and then our combined document in the middle. Notice as I scroll down, it will show me all three documents and allow me to see the changes which are documented on the left. Notice we have our revisions over there. So this is like our track changes, if you will, and we can either select them on the left in revisions and decide whether we want to keep those or not, or we can utilize our previous and next up at the top and choose to accept or reject, or just leave them in there.
Okay.
So let's give this a try. If I come over here to the left and select our first change, it will take us to where that change is located in the document. Now I can just leave this and keep going to the next one, or I can choose to accept this. Another way you can navigate is to choose Next. And it looks like we have a formatted table. That looks good to me, so I can go ahead and accept it. Let's go ahead and continue through this. It looks like Kathy Jones deleted something.
Oh, here in our table, the Coinster Big Box, it's got a line through it.
That's right. So let's go ahead and accept that. Let's go to the next one. It looks like Kathy added some examples here. Wow, I like those a lot. Let's keep those. And then we're back to what Kathy added for the parentheses. I think I'm just going to leave that alone. I'm not going to either accept or reject it.
Okay. Okay, so we did accept some of these changes, and this is our combined document, and I would need to save this third document, right?
That's correct. Notice that it's called Combined Result at the top, so you would want to save this and tell it where to save, or you could just use this feature just to view what the differences are. Let's save and close our combined document, and then let's come back to our original because I'd like to show you versions. So versions are in the same document. What we've been working with is multiple documents and comparing or combining those. Now, what I want to show you is what happens if you make a change or you receive a document that someone else made a change in, and it's not what you wanted. You want to get back to a particular version.
Okay.
Let's go to compare. Okay, so the first thing that we have here is major version. This is where we can compare this document that we're in with the last major version that was saved on the server. Last is a little different because that compares this document with the last version saved on the server, whether major or minor. Now, what I'd like to show you is specific version. So in here we have all of the versions for this particular document. You may see where it's been modified by other people. Notice that my name is in here for all of these modifications, but it allows you to go back to a specific point of time and see what changes have been made.
Okay.
And you also have settings like we did for compare and combine under more. We'll leave our settings the same, and then let's go ahead and select a version down here at the bottom, and let's go ahead and choose compare.
Okay, we did a compare, but where are the other documents?
So let me show you where those documents are in just a second, but I do want to point out some of your options. You can go ahead and turn on the reviewing pane here and see what the difference is between the revisions. You can also utilize your next and go to that area and choose to accept or reject those revisions as well. Now, to answer your question, if you go to compare and come down to show source documents, what you can do is you can show the original, the revised, or I think what you're looking for is show both.
Okay, that's the view I was looking for. You know, I like how in this revisions pane, it does indicate changes since 2.0. That's the version we wanted to look at, and I can choose whether I want those changes or not.
Marin, when you are expressing certain things in a document, sometimes it's better to have a graphic or an image to express your thoughts rather than words. So let's look at some advanced techniques associated with graphics.
All right.
If we select this picture, notice that we have layout options, and right now it's in line with text, which basically means that it's being treated as a character in our paragraph. If I select this, I can go down and say, with text wrapping, square. Notice that there's an anchor that shows up in the top left-hand corner. So what an anchor does is it allows us to place the image exactly where we want in that particular paragraph.
Okay.
We have some other options here. Now, one that I tend to use a lot because it helps you get as much text on the page as possible is where it is tight in next to the image. So I'll leave it at this particular selection. We also have two options down at the bottom. We have move with text, which means that if I am going to put this paragraph on a different page, it will move the picture with it. And then we also have fixed position on the page. That means that the image will stay there if I move the text. The next thing that I'd like to show you is in See More. So if you'll look at the very bottom of this page, notice that you have Lock Anchor. So if we choose Lock Anchor, then it will lock it in that particular place.
Okay, so I want to be very sure that that's where I want to keep that graphic.
That's right. Let's go ahead and choose Lock Anchor and choose OK.
Okay, and since we chose lock anchor, it looks like the anchor actually moved right onto the graphic.
That's right, instead of the paragraph. And notice that it has a lock on it as well.
Oh yeah, it does.
So I've moved down to the bottom of the page and I want to show you my drawing canvas.
Okay.
So a drawing canvas is basically a container that holds different images, or in this case, shapes that I can work with. So basically it's an organization tool. So if I click on my drawing canvas, you can actually see where it's located, and I have a couple of shapes in here. So I have a circle and a square. Now, one thing you can do with a drawing canvas is that you can create connectors between two shapes. So if I come up to Insert and go to Shapes, you'll notice that you have multiple lines here. Now, the first three and the last three are not connectors, but if I come to the fourth, you'll see it'll say connector and then what type of connector it is. So we would like to choose this elbow arrow connector, and when you come over to the circle, notice that we have these connector points that will appear. So I can click on the first connector point and drag over to my square, and look what happens.
And the connector points show up on the square.
That's right. So you connect point to point from one shape, in this case, to another shape. And I can let go, and now these two are connected. And the great thing about this is if I move or resize one of these, then the connector will adjust. So for instance, if I move this up a little bit,
the connector line moves and they stay connected.
That's right. And if I resize it,
the same thing happens.
That's right.
I really wish I had known about this earlier. I've actually used shapes and arrows and moved each object around to try and adjust things, but using a connector would be so much easier.
It's a great tool. Another thing you might notice is I have some weird little marks on my drawing canvas, and I'd like to show you how to select multiple inked items that may be on your drawing canvas by using the lasso. So if we go to Draw, and then choose our lasso. The lasso takes a little bit of practice, but basically what you want to do is you want to start outside of what you want to select. And if you'll notice, everything that is within the lasso will turn bold, indicating that it is selected. So I can select both of those items at the same time.
I could just move that object now.
That's right, you could move them, or in my case, I would want to delete them because I don't want them in this particular image.
Okay.
So before we move on to anything else, I want to make sure that I turn off my lasso by choosing the arrow. So let's go over to Shape Format, and I'd like to go to the Selection pane. So in our selection pane, what we can do is we can work with all of our objects that are in our document in this list format. So here, notice that I have oval and star, and this is the order that they're in. So for instance, let's say I want the star to be on top of the oval. I can click and drag it up. Notice that line is following my cursor, and now that star is on top of the circle the way it was intended.
Oh, okay. That's like bring to front or bring forward.
That's exactly right. Another thing that you can do is that you have the ability to select more than one object here and group them. So if I hold down my control button on my keyboard and choose oval, because these are meant to be together, I can select them both and choose group.
I really like this feature because sometimes when you're selecting objects, it's really hard to do with the mouse.
It's true, especially when they're layered like this.
Right. It's actually easier to see what's grouped too.
That's right. If you look at the selection pane, you can tell at a glance that we have 3 groups that are listed here, and that might be hard to tell if you were looking at just your document.
Right.
There's a couple of other things that you can do in the selection pane. For instance, let's say that you wanted to turn this graphic off and you didn't want to delete it, but you just didn't want to look at it right here. So you have a little eye at the end of group 1. You can click on that and your graphic will disappear.
Okay, that's really helpful when you have a lot of graphics and you just want to check and see, do I want to keep that one, but you don't actually want to delete it.
That's right. It's sort of like hidden text, only for objects and graphics. So you can turn this back on by clicking again.
All right.
And there it is. And then because this is a logo, what I can do is I can click here and highlight the text, and then let's name this logo. So once I type that in, I'll press enter, and now instead of group 1, we have logo, and I know that those 2 objects are associated with my logo.
This selection pane is going to make it so easy for me to work with objects in my document.
If you're using Word on your tablet, there are some great features that you can use your pen with. So let's go take a look at that.
Let's do it.
So the first thing that we need to do is let's go to Draw, and then let's choose our editing pen. Now we can see that there are a couple of things that need to be fixed immediately. Market analysis needs a space between them, so I'll draw a straight line in between market and analysis.
Ah, I like that.
The next thing is that business needs to lose a space, so let's do a little curved line between that I and that N.
Yeah, that's really useful.
Now I would like to change the word opportunity to prospect, so let me circle this word, and it will select it, and I will type in prospect.
Oh, now that's easy.
The next thing is I'd like to delete that first sentence in the second paragraph, so I will draw a line through that sentence.
Well, what do I do if I want to insert a word?
Well, you can do that. Let me show you how. Let's put the word the in front of size in that second line. So I'll put a caret in between of and size, and then I'll write the.
Oh, I like that.
And then the last thing we need to do at the bottom of the page, here in industry type, I think I want that on its own line, and I want begin down on the next line. So let's do a backwards L, and now that's on the second line.
Yeah, that's useful. I know I'll use these features with my pen when I'm out of the office.
Have a document here that we are going to give to other people. And sometimes you want to control the entry on what they put in certain areas in a particular form. So you can do that through form controls. So let's take a look at what some of those options are.
Okay.
Now, on this particular form, we don't want to capture the data in an Excel database, or we don't want to use MS forms. We just want to control what they are actually either typing in or putting in this particular form. So I have gone ahead and turned on our Developer tab up at the top, and you'll notice that we have a Controls section. We have two options for our employee name. We have Rich Text Format, text, which just means that we can make it bold or apply a style, etc., make it look a little different, or we could use plain text, which does not have any of that associated with it. Let's go ahead and choose our rich text form control, and notice that it automatically puts it in there for us. Now with this form control selected, let's go up and choose Properties, and here we can go ahead and name our form control. Let's go ahead and name this Employee Name. We can put a tag in here so that we can jump to a particular form control. I'm going to leave that blank. And then the next option is how we want to show this. So right now we're looking at a bounding box, which shows a box that someone can click on and they can enter information. We can also use start and end tags, where it will put a tag at the beginning and the end of this form control. Or we can choose none, which is kind of tough to see for someone who is going to go in here and enter information into a form. I'll show you what start and end tag looks like. Let's go ahead and choose that and choose OK.
Yeah, that looks a little bit messy.
If we were developers, then we would probably want to see it this way because it helps us understand where everything is located. But because we're creating this for someone to enter information, let's go ahead and change it back to bounding box.
Okay, but before we do that, I noticed that the tag box has actually been auto-populated.
That's right. So it put the title in that tag name there. Now you'll notice that when we came into this, our color of our bounding box was gray. You do have the ability to change that color. So for instance, we have sort of a blue theme going on here. I could change that to blue. The next option allows us to apply a style to format the information that is entered into this particular control box. And so let me show you what that looks like. Notice that right now, the default is paragraph font, and if you only want to use a certain style, you can choose one from the list. I'm going to uncheck that and then move down to the next option. This will remove the content control when the contents are edited, so if someone goes in there and edits this, then the content control will go away and just the contents will be in there. Then you have two locking options here. One is that the control itself cannot be deleted, and then the other one is that the contents cannot be edited. So if you need to freeze the contents, then you would choose that last option. But I'm going to leave these unchecked, and let's choose OK.
Okay, so we've changed back to our bounding box, and it's blue now instead of gray, and we've got our employee name there as well.
That's right. So the next form control that we want to put in is the date form control. Now, just as a best practice, let me go ahead and say that this is set up in a table. And if we go up to Layout and View Grid Lines, you can see that.
Oh, okay, I see now why it looks so neat and very well lined up. Also, it's the best way to control the lines that you've got in there as well, right?
That's right. So let me go ahead and turn those grid lines back off, and then go back to our Developer tab, and then choose our Date Picker. Now, just like with our text box, we have properties associated with the Date Picker, so let's go take a look. You just have to make sure it's selected first, and then go to Properties. So here we have our title. Let's go ahead and put in our evaluation date.
Okay, and I see we have the same options that we had before.
That's right. So let's go ahead and choose the color blue so that those are consistent. And then down here at the bottom, let's display the date as the month, day, and then year. But notice there's a scroll bar on the right. There's lots of choices here.
Okay.
And then let's choose OK. Now when we choose our down arrow,
Oh, nice.
we've got our date picker. So the next thing I'd like to do is force the person who is entering information in here to pick between 4 options. So to do that, let's go ahead and place our cursor where we would like our form control, here above title. And then in controls, let's do the combo box. So for this, we have to enter what those choices are. So let's go into properties. Let's go ahead and name this title and choose our color blue. And then down at the bottom, we're going to put in our 4 options. So let's add the first option, which is associate. And then I'll go ahead and add 3 more.
Okay, what if I want to rearrange this list, say put director at the top of the list?
Absolutely. So with it selected, all you have to do is come over to the right and choose Move Up. Notice that you also have Move Down. You can remove any of these lines, and you can also modify them. Let's choose OK.
Okay, that's really helpful. Not only does the person not have to actually type in the input, but you've got it exactly the way you want it.
All right, so let's close that. So here for attendance, we are going to add some checkboxes. So let's place our cursor in front of tardies and then come up to controls and choose our checkbox, content control. And then let's go ahead and do that for each one of these.
Great, now we have a way to indicate yes or no.
That's right.
I'd like to see how this looks. Can we go and input our information?
Absolutely. Typically what you would do is you would save this either as a document or a template, and then you would distribute it to the people who are going to fill this out, right? So we have done that, it's saved, and then let's go fill it out. All right, well, let's go ahead and fill out this employee evaluation form for Kathy Jones. So let's go ahead and type her name in there.
Okay, and since this is a table, I can just tab over to the next field.
That's right.
And we'll pick a date.
Yeah.
And go to the next field. Now here's our drop down. I'll select director. And if we go down here to attendance, Kathy took some vacation, so we'll say yes. Okay, and X marks the box. But what if I don't want an X? What if I say want a check mark?
So you can definitely do that by selecting it and then going to properties like we did with the other form controls, and you can modify the way it looks.
Okay. Oh, well that reminds me, if I send this out to someone like it is right now, they could actually change those content controls. How do I keep that from happening?
So you can actually go in and protect your form. Let me show you how to do that. First, let's go back to our original document that isn't filled out. So if we go to the Developer tab, and then in the Protect group, we can choose Restrict Editing. Under Restrict Editing, we have the ability to edit restrictions, and if we choose this, notice that we can choose filling in forms, which means that they can only fill in our form. They can't make modifications to it.
Great. So now the user can only input information into those content control fields. They can't change anything else in the document.
That's right. And with a little bit of planning, you can streamline information gathering. Miriam, I'd like to talk to you about mail merge. Mail merge is something I use all the time, whether doing labels for my Christmas cards or maybe a template that I want to fill in with a new employee's name. That way, it prevents you from having to type things over and over again.
Okay.
Let's take a look. The first step is to identify this document as your primary document. So if we go to the Mailings tab and go to Start Mail Merge, notice that we have lots of different types of merges that we can do, and this is a letter, so let's choose letters. The second step is to designate our recipients. So there's 3 different ways that you can bring those recipients in. The first one is to type a list. You can also use an existing list, which can be an Excel spreadsheet or a database where you have those individuals. And then you can also bring in individuals from your Outlook contacts as well.
Okay.
So let's start at the top. Let's type a new list. We will go ahead and type in a recipient. We're going to tab through the title and just start with the first name. So let's type in Kathy, and then tab and Jones, and then tab twice, and let's go to address line. And then that's address line 1. If they had perhaps like an apartment number or an attention to, you could use that in address line 2. So we will tab through that. We should get to city, and let's go ahead and put Anderson. And then put our state, go ahead and choose tab, and then let's put our zip in. And then at the bottom, let's choose new entry. And then we will go ahead and put our second entry in here.
All right, I see as I tab through that there are other fields here that I could enter. Can I change those in any way?
Yes, you can. You can customize those down at the bottom and customize columns. But honestly, if I were going to customize, I'd probably just go ahead and create like an Excel list and make my own columns. And I'll show you how to do that in the next lesson.
Okay.
Let's choose OK. And then let's save this. Just call this My List. All right, so that was step 2. Now let's go to step 3, and we need to put the fields in our document. So I told you I had these placeholders. Let's highlight these and delete them. And then let's come up to write and insert fields. Now, one of the options that we have here is the address block. Now in here we get to tell the address block how we want it formatted. So you'll notice that we can choose the format of the individual's name. For an address, I want the full name, but maybe if I were going to put something a little bit more informal, I might just want the first name. So you can choose that here. You can also insert the company name as well as the postal address, and there's 3 different options there. For instance, you may not want the country and region in the address, which is the case for us. You can always include it, or you can always include it if it's something different than, in this case, the United States. We'll leave it at never include. And then the last option is to format the address according to the destination country.
Okay. I see we have a preview of what it'll look like when we insert this into our document.
That's right. So not only can we see Kathy, but we can also move forward and see Meg as well.
All right.
Okay, so I think this looks pretty good, don't you?
Yes, I like it.
All right, let's choose OK. Now let's talk about where that address block is. That merge field is right next to your address. So let's go ahead and press Enter and give us a space in between those.
Okay.
And then let's put in a greeting line. So here we have different options to choose as far as the greeting. Which one do you like?
I like dear.
Okay. We have the individual's name, and you have different options as far as how it looks. And then you can choose the greeting line for invalid recipient names. For instance, there's not a name in there, so you can choose to whom it may concern. Now look, you've got a preview down below.
I like it.
Let's choose OK. And now we have our greeting line.
All right. You know, I'd really like to see how this looks because the address block, that's one line, and I know my addresses are longer than one line.
There are definitely multiple lines, so let's go preview those. So up here, let's choose Preview Results, and there you go.
Yeah. Oh, and it looks like you can move through these as well.
So yes, we have a navigation area, so we can go one at a time through these, but if you had 50, let's say, you might want to go all the way to the end or all the way to the beginning.
All right. Well, what's next?
So the last step is the finish and merge, and you have three options here. If you need to edit individual documents, let's say on one document you needed to put additional information for someone, you can choose Edit Individual Documents, and it will merge and all of those documents will be available. You can print all of the documents, which is probably most of the time what you would do, and then you can also send these as an email message. So let's go ahead and choose Edit Individual Documents, and then let's merge these.
Okay, I see we're in a new document called Letters, and we have 2 pages.
That's right. So we have Kathy Jones, and then down at the bottom we have Meg Reeves.
All right. This looks good, and it's a great start. But I actually download my address list from a database. So how would I work with that?
Well, I will show you how to do that and some customization options in the next lesson.
Good.
Marin, in our document, we have the opportunity to bring in recipients that are from an Excel spreadsheet. So let me show you how to do that.
Okay.
So if you'll remember, the first step is to verify our document, and it's a letter. And then the second step is to choose our recipients. We chose Type a New List before. Now let's choose Use an Existing List. Now I have found my Excel spreadsheet, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an Excel spreadsheet. It could be a Word document. It could be in SharePoint. It's anything that is in a column format. I'll just select the Excel file, and then if you have multiple sheets, it will allow you to select the sheet. But I just have one in there, so I'll go ahead and choose it and choose OK.
Okay, but it doesn't look like anything happened. I can't see anything. How do we know for sure that it brought in the correct list and it's the way we want it to look?
So there's a couple of ways. One, you can go to Edit Recipient List, and I can see all of the recipients that were in my Excel spreadsheet here. I can also edit them here as well. Another way is I see all of the options over on the right. They are available now. And in particular, I can look at the Insert Merge fields and see the fields that I had in my Excel spreadsheet. Also, let me move over to my Excel spreadsheet. Here in my Excel spreadsheet, when you're setting this up, I think it's important to note that the top row needs to have your field names in it, and they have to be different somehow than the rest of the information. So I'll go ahead and add an address block up here at the top, and let's choose OK.
We're ready to move on, I guess. This department name, what's that for? Do we want to pull that in from our database?
We do. I have that in my Excel spreadsheet. Let's go ahead and highlight my placeholder and delete it. And then let's add Insert Merge field and department name. Notice that department name is right next to team, so let's put a space there. And then let's do the same below.
And just like we did with department name, we could go up and actually insert merge field with our address fields, right? We wouldn't have to actually do the address block.
That's right. So if we wanted to do that, instead of putting the address block in here, let's go ahead and delete that. And then we could do Insert Merge field, name. Then we would press Enter because we want to come to the next line. Insert Merge field, address 1. Press Enter, insert address 2. Now this is a little tricky. You need to make sure that you put city, comma, space, then state, space, zip code.
Oh, I can see it'd be easy to forget punctuation.
And then let's press Enter so that we have that blank line in between the address and your information.
I like how this looks because I can see a little bit better how much room that address is going to take up at the top of the page, or I can customize it as well.
That's right. So when we preview, we can see that we have our merged letters, and if we go all the way to the end, we have all 10.
Okay. Oh wait, what if I don't want to send this letter to everybody in my database?
So you can go into the Edit Recipient List, and you do have the ability to uncheck the ones you do not want to send it to. So let's uncheck Jeff and Phoebe, and now they're excluded from the mail merge.
Okay.
So while we're here, I also want to show you that there's a couple of other things you can do in here. You can sort. If you want to sort by just one column heading, you can do that by choosing that column heading, and now they're in alphabetical order. Down here at the bottom, you can do a multi-level sort where you could sort maybe by department and then by name. and choose OK. And now they are sorted by department and then name. So we only have 10 recipients here, but if you had hundreds of recipients, you would want to filter out, let's say, a department name. So let's go to Filter, and here we can filter by department name, and we would want that to be equal to Information Technology. So let's go ahead and type that in.
Okay.
And let's filter all of those records out. Let's choose OK, and now we have just the individuals that are in Information Technology.
Great. Oh, and it looks like there's a drop-down arrow, so we could use that to filter as well, similar to Excel.
That's right. And notice that we can find blanks or non-blanks, or we can even do the advanced filter from here as well.
All right.
And under Filter, you'll notice that we have Find Duplicates, which is really helpful. If you're downloading from a database, sometimes you'll get dupes, and what you can do is utilize that to get those out of there so they don't merge.
Okay.
Now, for our purposes, let's go ahead and clear this filter so that we can see all of our records. And then I see that all of them are selected, so that's perfect for our purposes here, and let's choose OK. So another thing I'd like to show you is rules. Let's go ahead and turn off our preview results, and we have department name selected. Now I've got a couple of records where the department name is not in there, and so I'd like to put a rule in there, and let's do an if-then statement. So in this particular case, we will say that if the field department name is blank, then we want to put the word department in there, and then choose OK. So now let's go look at our preview, and then if we look at each one of these.
Oh, okay, so if our database does have information in the department name, it'll show up here. But if it's blank, then the word department will be replaced there.
That's right.
But we do have another field in our letter that says department name, so we'll have to do it for that as well.
That's right. You'll have to do it for each instance in the document.
Okay.
All right, so we know how to finish and merge. We've done that before. So now let's go do some labels.
Okay.
Let's go create a blank document. So let's go to Mailings and start our mail merge. This time we'll do labels. The printer information is at the top, and then the vendor information is down below. I'll choose Avery US Letter. And I brought in my Avery labels. Notice in the bottom right-hand corner there is a 4-digit number, and that's what I will put in order to get the setup for my labels.
Right. I've seen this number on generic labels as well, so they use a standard format.
They do. So I'll choose 8160. Notice the label information is on the right. That looks good, and I'll choose OK. So I need to turn on my grid lines in order to work with this. So I'll go up to Layout, I'll choose View Grid Lines. There we go. Now let's go back to Mailing, and I'll select my recipients, and I'm just going to choose the same Excel list. Now it's time to insert our fields. Now before I actually insert these fields, let me go ahead and make sure that I am in the right font and size that I want. So let's go ahead and come to Home, and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. And then I also want to remove any space before or after the paragraph. Now I'm ready. Let's go to Mailings, Insert Merge Field, and I'll start with Name. I'll press Enter, Address 1, Enter, Address 2, and then City, comma, space, State, space, and Zip. Some people like to highlight this, and instead of having it left adjusted, they like to center it instead. So it just depends on your preference. Once you make any of these changes, you need to make sure that the records following this are going to show up exactly like the one that you set up. So let's go ahead and choose Update Labels.
You know, I've used this feature with labels to create labels that are all the same, but it's nice to be able to pull in a database and actually use addresses.
Let's preview the results. And there they are.
Nice.
So now let's go ahead and finish and merge, and then send this to print. And I would choose OK to send them all to the printer. Next, let's do envelopes. I'm going to create a new document, go to Mailings, and let's just do one envelope. Now here we will choose the size envelope that we are going to use, and we'll leave this at size 10, which is your standard envelope. Let's choose OK, and then look, we have an envelope to work with.
Oh, okay.
So here I will go ahead and put a return address. Let's click where we want the address to go, and then I'll go select my recipients. I'm going to go ahead and add those fields, and then let's take a look. And now we would go ahead and finish and merge.
This is really nice to be able to merge addresses from a database.
This concludes our course, Mastering Word 365 Expert.
For more Microsoft courses, check out our Bigger Brains library.